All right. Hello. Welcome back to the Other Side Sports Podcast. We're in week five. Week five this week. I'm Josh Powers. This is John Evans and Matthew Binkley joining us shortly as always. John, how you doing, buddy? Doing
Good,
well?
man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Ready to get into these topics.
For sure.
So we're gonna talk about some NBA awards now that the season is basically over. Officially ends tomorrow. We're gonna talk about some NBA awards. We're going to introduce a new segment to the show that we're going to do weekly. And then we got some NFL mock giraffes, picks 1 through 16. And Matthew is going to close us out with his What's on His Mind topic today. So I hope he's prepared.
Yeah, I am.
So, first topic of the day. Let's get it started. The Utah Jazz clinched a playoff berth last night, I believe. Donovan Mitchell leading the way. Does Donovan Mitchell deserve to be the Rookie of the Year over Ben Simmons? Emmons, I'll let you start on this one. Go ahead.
If Ben Simmons didn't exist, sure. Donovan Mitchell's been phenomenal this year, but only phenomenal in one aspect of his game besides his defense, which is scoring. The Ben Simmons triple-double thing doesn't really affect it as much to me because now today in the NBA, you see a lot of guys getting like 15, 11, and 11. The fact that he's been doing it all year, though, averaging, I think it's like almost 17 points a game, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, is what's more impressive to me. With Donovan Mitchell, I think he's at like 20 points a game with 3 and 3. I also think Donovan Mitchell has a really underrated supporting cast over there. Sixers are obviously a good team too, but I think Ben Simmons is just such a dynamic player, and it'd almost be criminal not to name him Rookie of the Year. The only thing I get you can say against that is because he technically was hurt his whole rookie year, but then again, he technically is still a rookie because he didn't play.
You're looking at this completely wrong. You're like, oh, he's made the Sixers good again. He finalized the process. Oh, everybody's blind by that. Look, they're in the East. Okay, they're in the East. If Ben Simmons is playing in the West, I don't know necessarily he has that big of an effect. Like Donovan Mitchell got them in the loaded West, led them with 20 points.
Yeah, he's not leading the Jazz, but
he's not leading the Jazz, but he's making that much of an effect. Like I see what he's doing is more impressive because of the talent he's going up against every night, compared to the Eastern Conference, which is weak. It's just weak.
I guess to me, actually watching Ben Simmons on the court, what he's capable of doing. I think it's clear he's the better basketball player. I don't even think it's close. I think Donovan Mitchell can score the basketball, but watching them on the court, what Ben Simmons does against the top talents in the East, given the rest of the East is depleted, but, given they gave up a 30-point lead against the Cavs with the game he had, the passes he makes, his basketball IQ is, it's high. I just think Donovan Mitchell has a knack for scoring. He's going to be a great NBA player, but for me, I think it's closer than people think, but I do think it's Ben Simmons' award to lose.
But he did that same stuff until he got to the tourney at LSU too. Once he got against the talent, he disappeared.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to compare the LSU team to the Sixers team. He's got a lot better of a supporting cast for the 76ers. We'll see what he does in the playoffs, but for now, what he's done so far is more impressive than Donovan Mitchell to scoring 20 points a game.
NBA awards don't take into account postseason, correct? They just do regular
Correct.
season, just like every other sport?
Correct.
Okay. I would say if I had to pick one, I would pick Ben Simmons, just between the two of them. The awards, as much as they're not about it, they should be about who's the best player between, all the candidates. And I agree with Emmons. I think it's Ben Simmons over Donovan Mitchell when it comes down to it. But I'm a numbers guy, and Ben Simmons has put up better numbers, so that's probably the biggest reason I would agree with that statement.
And also, I don't think the West is like that much better than the East this year. I think the NBA as a whole, talent-wise, is down. I think it's really top-heavy. I don't really think the West is loaded or anything like that. You got a lot of cluster at the end of it, but I still don't think they're that much better than the East. If the East was fully healthy, they're not good, but they're still not that bad.
Speaking of East versus West, we've got James Harden leading the Houston Rockets to a number 1 seed going into the playoffs. And so with that in mind, Matthew, does James Harden deserve to be the NBA MVP this year?
You guys know how referees, a lot of times, they have the makeup call. like later on, just to even it out, they'll
Yeah.
call something even though it's not a penalty. I almost think that's what we got to do to kind of even out last year. I mean, because there was such a heated debate on, who it was last year. I think regular season, yeah, I think he's the MVP. I mean, they've just blown everybody away. I mean, they've just kind of ran away with it, and him and CP3 have just clicked. So
they're meshing like nobody else thought they would.
Yeah, I thought they'd be good, but I didn't think they'd be this good.
Right.
So, I think he's got to be the MVP. I don't think there's really anybody else at this point.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the best player in the world is LeBron James, but it can't be his award every year. I mean, you want it to be the best player, but at the same time, you need something different, right? And James Harden by far deserves it this year. I think a name that not a lot of people are talking about, I don't think he deserves it, is Anthony Davis has had a phenomenal year. I mean, he's carried the Pelicans to what? Are they the 4th seed in the East, in the West right now? After losing Boogie Cousins, they lost Boogie Cousins. They didn't get better. I mean, I think their second best player is Drew Holiday, who's hurt all the time. So what he's done this year is amazing. But it's James Harden what he's done this year is special in the regular season. So I think it definitely deserves to go to James Harden.
But does it really have to be somebody different? I mean, if the award is for the best player,
right?
The best player, I can't stand LeBron. I think that he is not what don't even get me started. But if he's the best player, isn't that who the award's supposed to go to?
So
yeah, I mean,
that's
the debate, because you look at it at two, like you hear MVP and you think the best player, right? But the award's called the most valuable player, so this could go like 5 different ways with what the award should really be. And it's actually an interesting argument on what team would be better without James Harden or LeBron James. That's something you can get into in a different day.
There's no answer. Like there's one side to that answer right there, and that's the Cleveland Cavaliers are nothing without LeBron James.
No,
absolutely nothing.
Not this year.
The Houston Rockets make the playoffs without James Harden.
Right.
You put an average point guard, or you put an average shooting guard in there. Chris Paul, Clint Capella, they carry that team to a playoff spot. It might be an 8. It might be an 8 seed, but it's a playoff spot.
I don't think that, even though I said the West isn't that talented, that West is deep, I don't think they make the playoffs. But I mean, the Cavs wouldn't make the playoffs for sure.
They'd be going for the first pick.
Right.
The Cavs would be drafting LeBron James Jr. this upcoming draft. If that's what's happening.
Jesus Christ.
So
LeBron James Jr.
It has to be LeBron James as the MVP, because you're right. Like the MVP, the most valuable player. It doesn't say the best player, but the most valuable player in the league is the best player in the league, just flat out.
Sure.
So, it doesn't matter to me personally. Like, it doesn't matter the storyline. It doesn't matter, what your team has done. Like, if the Cleveland Cavaliers went 0-82 and LeBron averaged a triple-double just like Russell Westbrook has, or he did last year, LeBron should still win the MVP, in my opinion.
I mean, I also think, too, I do think, I guess how it's obviously most MVP awards go to whoever has the most impressive season. I think James Harden has had a more impressive season. And that's another thing that credits LeBron to how great he is. And I had this conversation earlier with some people, is he is like the only player I can remember that tarnishes his own legacy with how good he is. He's having a great year, but he's not having a more impressive year than James Harden. So he's like getting like not tarnished for it, but it's like he damages his own legacy if he doesn't stand up to his standards.
Well, because you're comparing him to himself and what he was in. It's like Brady and Manning.
Right.
I mean, Brady and Manning can throw for 6,000 yards and be like, eh.
Exactly.
And because they've been close before,
Right.
Whereas if Alex Smith throws for 3,000 yards, everybody's freaking out.
Right. Exactly.
So really quick, just give me a yes or no again. Yay, yes or no questions.
Oh God.
Is LeBron James the greatest basketball player of all time, better than Michael Jordan?
Yes.
Hell no.
Oh, we got a topic for next week, boys.
Hell no.
Topic for next week. We won't cover it right now because we could probably argue about that all day. For the record, I do think LeBron James is the greatest player of all time over Michael Jordan. Boom. Anyway, moving into our MVP talk is going to move us into our next segment. And our next segment is a brand new segment, and it's going to be called Hold Up. So I'm going to read off a statement, And these two guys are going to listen to that statement.
Interesting.
I'm going to give them 3 seconds to reflect on that statement. And if neither of them says anything, you get 3 seconds, dude. If neither of them says
after the last week's question about LeBron James Jr., these are going to be interesting.
if neither of them says anything, we're going to move on. If one of them or both of them disagree with the statement, they're going to yell, "Hold up," and then they're going to get a chance to defend their argument. So here we go. First statement for Hold Up. The NBA should have separate awards for the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference.
Hold up.
All right, holding up.
Yep.
No, because this is dumb. Listen, right? You get these cyclical patterns, right? Like where everybody gets caught up. Like, well, John's already touched on this. The Eastern Conference is already catching up. I mean, it was only bound to be this big disparity for so long. It's not like the baseball where the rules are different,
Right.
Based on where you play. No, we should look at it as a whole, because then you water it down. Everybody gets a trophy. No.
Yeah, I'm going to say hold up on that one as well.
You gotta say it quick, then, dude. You can't wait till after he defends.
Well, he
himself.
said it so.
You gotta
He said
say
it so quick I couldn't say it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You got 3 seconds, dude. You gotta go quick. As soon as I read the statement, if you don't agree, you gotta hold up. Whoa, you gotta stop me. You can't
You can go ahead though.
You
'cause
can't
he,
wait
he,
all
he,
this time.
He said it perfectly. That'd be ridiculous.
See, I disagree. I think that they should do it because.
Hey, you
just
didn't
like
say hold up.
That's
Well,
because
he's agreed with the
That's because
statement.
I agree with the statement. So, but you guys argued, so now I'm arguing your argument.
Okay, go ahead, argue.
So the NFL does this. They only don't do it for MVP. For every other award, they do it. They do an AL and NFC and AFC. Major League Baseball does it. I don't see a reason in not doing it. There's 30 NBA teams. There's no reason not to do this. It would squash this LeBron versus James Harden argument, and LeBron could win it in the East every year, which he should. It would squash the Ben Simmons and the Donovan Mitchell argument, which is, I guess, good for the sport, but you could argue that. So
I think that's exactly what it is. I think when you go to this is a different side of it. See, when I go to the barbershop, because I actually go to a barbershop, like a legit barbershop, right? The discussion is on these awards, right? Like, it's about these awards, and you're arguing LeBron versus Jordan, all that other stuff. Like, that's literally what this is, and it hypes it up. And that's not something that the NFL and Major League Baseball do.
You don't really argue over other sports awards as much as you do the NBA.
You don't really care, because it's kind of watered down.
Right.
It's watered down. There's no argument, and the
Like,
argument.
okay, cool.
To be fair, there's no argument at this point. Most people think James Harden is the unanimous MVP and Ben Simmons is the unanimous Rookie of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
People are still arguing it, though. I mean, you turn on any show on TV. I mean, people are for LeBron, people are for James Harden. There's a Donovan Mitchell defense. There's a Ben Simmons defense.
I guess so. Next statement. Shohei Ohtani will hit over 25 home runs this year.
I'm going to go ahead and accept the hype. I'm going to agree with it.
All right. Third statement. Shohei Ohtani will throw a no-hitter this year.
Staying on the hype.
All right. Fourth statement. Shohei Ohtani will throw a perfect game at some point in his career.
Hold up.
All right. Hold up.
Listen, I think we're getting to the point in baseball. You've already seen it, I think, twice this year with the whole nonsense of, the unwritten rule. That garbage, like, I think there was somebody who had a no-hitter, and in the fourth inning, somebody bunted, and the other team cried. Bunted, we had a no-hitter.
That was it wasn't inning, sorry. It wasn't. I don't believe that happened this year.
No, it was this year. No, last week.
Yeah, it was this year. It was last week.
Last week. And they were crying, that's an unwritten rule. You don't bunt when he's got a no-hitter going. I'm telling you, I think some of those rules are going to kind of I think it's starting to go into a way where perfect games are going to, and things like that are going to start going away. It's going to be really rare. I think we're going to get more of smarter baseball players where they recognize, I'm going to just get out of this.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I agree. I don't think he'll throw a perfect game in his career. It's the most rare thing in the sport.
Yeah.
So I don't.
And a lot of the times you don't see like the big time guy. It's always some random name. Like you said, it's rare. So I mean, it happens. But you don't expect it to happen a lot of times.
Right.
You're like, who the hell's that?
And there's too much.
Exactly.
There's too many variables that go into a perfect game. Mm-hmm. Like a pitcher can control a no hitter, but a perfect game. If there's an
It's
error,
it's a whole team.
if there's an error, you're done. You could strike somebody out on a 3 strikeout, but the ball hit the ground and the catcher not be able to corral it in time, and the runner gets down to first base, and that's it.
There it goes.
So there's too many variables in a perfect game. Fifth statement: Shohei Ohtani
Oh my God.
will
Jesus
win.
Christ.
Shohei Ohtani will win the AL Rookie of the Year, the Cy Young Award, and the AL MVP Award this year.
Hold up.
Hold up.
Hold up.
Rookie of the Year, I'll give to you, but I mean, it's way too early in the year to call this guy the MVP and the Cy Young winner. I mean, you got so many talented players in the league alone, let alone just the American League. Poor Stanton over there is striking out like crazy, so he's not going to be doing it. But I mean, there's other guys that are going to step up, and I think it's going to.
That. Go ahead.
What?
I said, hold up to that statement that you just made.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's just too early. What you're saying is absolutely right, but that's also the counter argument.
It's still. I was just making a joke at it. It's way too early. He could turn it around in a heartbeat.
I'm messing with you, John. Well, that's the thing. You don't want to, come out too early, because eventually they're going to figure you out. They're going to figure out if you're this hot this early. A lot of times, especially with these guys who haven't been around, they just haven't seen you before. Once they figure you out, they figure you out.
There's gonna be more scouting on him, more tapes. We're gonna really find out what he's made of in the next couple months. I think he has the stuff and has the talent on offense as well to win Rookie of the Year. But I think Cy Young and the MVP and Rookie of the Year. I mean, that's a tall task for anybody in the league who's been in the league for years, let alone a rookie who's just came over to the league. I don't think he's gonna even come close to MVP.
So. I disagree with you on that. I don't think he's going to win the Cy Young Award just because there's so many dominant pitchers that have been doing it for so long, and he's been dominant so far, but we'll see how that goes as far as the pitching. But even if he's a slightly above average pitcher, he'll win the AL Rookie of the Year and the MVP if he can hit as well. So he can be slightly above average on the mound, but the fact that he can throw and then turn around and bat and produce runs on the other side and do 2 things where everybody else is only doing 1, that in and of itself will give the Baseball Writers of America like the needed ammo to put him as Rookie of the Year and MVP.
But that's a big if. I don't see him being that productive consistently on both of those. And then you also got to think about injuries. I mean, this is a long season. So if you're doing both of those, I don't think it just gets down to that. Now, if he does that, then yes, he will win it. But I just don't see him doing that.
Now,
182 games.
I watched his last start against the A's, and I don't know.
62.
I don't know if he did it on accident, and he'll say, if you ask him, he'll say it's, he's been training his whole life to do it, so he did it on purpose. He painted a 100-mile-per-hour fastball on the black of the plate, on the outside corner. Like, literally perfect placement twice. And that's almost impossible for any pitcher to do once in a game without getting lucky. He did it twice in the same inning. So, like, his control looks amazing. So I think he'll be better than, like, slightly above average. But I don't think he'll be, like, Cy Young range. So I think his pitching will be great. And
see, I'm more on the side where he's going to be a better pitcher than I think his offense will fall off more than his pitching, in my opinion.
See, I agree, just because if you watch him, he hits kind of like Ichiro, but with power. So he kind of pulls off the ball. So once pitchers kind of learn they can hit him on the outside, I think it's going to cause problems for him. But we'll move on to our 6th statement.
If it's another Ohtani statement, I'm going to lose my mind.
Shohei, no, I'm just kidding. Ordinarily, we would do 5 of these statements, but since it's our inaugural segment, I did a couple more. Statement number 6. Bryce Harper will get a $400 million deal in free agency this year. Bryce Harper's already started. He leads the league in home runs. The guy's raking. He's the best player that's ever hit the market, probably ever. So I think he gets it. He's going to get it.
Yep, so do I.
All right, 2 more statements I got. More than 4 quarterbacks will be drafted within the first 16 picks of this year's NFL draft.
I have it happening in my mock.
Hold up. Yeah. Oh, no, hold up. Yeah.
Okay.
I get confused. I'm tired.
There will be more than 4 draft day trades.
Hold up.
All right.
I think I might be at 4, but I think that there's a really good chance that it happens because I think more so in previous years, I think we're going to see a lot of runs. I think we're going to see big runs, and it's going to scare teams to no end because there are some players at some positions that are they don't have a lot of top end talent, and I think that you're going to see. I'm talking about like tackle, and safety, and quarterback. You've got 3 very big positions that don't have a lot of depth outside of quarterbacks, but quarterbacks are just different. So I think you're going to see a lot of teams get scared and trade up, kind of like how the Bears did last year with the Niners, how they got scared, and even though they had no reason to be, I think you're going to see a lot of teams do that.
So
I see about 5, 6.
So
I guess my reasoning for
So why did you say hold up? Because I said there will be more than 4.
Oh, see, I got.
Yeah, I guess the only argument against that I would have is thinking to myself, and there's already been a couple trades already made. I don't really see a lot of other teams needing to move in the draft unless, like Matthew said, they just get scared for whatever reason. I just don't see that much movement on draft day. Maybe I'd say 4 at most. Maybe 2. I was thinking like 2.
See, I have
2.
I have 4 in my mock draft as it sits right now. And like Matthew said, some of these positions are not deep. And so I see some teams jumping up, and we can get into that right now as we move into let's start with doing our NFL mock drafts 1 through 16. Let's try to go through this kind of quick because this is going to get lengthy, but we have plenty of time. So obviously we're going to start number 1, Cleveland Browns. We'll each just give our pick and why we think that team is going to take that player. So I'll just start on the far end. Matthew, you go first. Cleveland Browns are on the clock. Who you got them taking?
Sam Darnold.
Okay. What's your reasoning behind that? You have one, or?
I just think that they're going to just try to develop. That's why they don't take Rosen. And I think that he's probably one of the more polished USC quarterbacks as of late. And I think that he actually has a chance to do something.
Okay, Emmons, give me your pick.
I changed this right before the show started. I was going to be going Sam Darnold. Like me and Josh earlier discussed, we don't really know, but I've read a lot of stuff today. I think they're going to shock some people. It won't be that many. I think they're going to go Josh Allen at number 1. I think obviously he has the best arm in the draft. He's not the most polished quarterback yet. In my opinion, he's a less accurate but more athletic Matthew Stafford. And I think he has such a high ceiling. I think Cleveland thinks they can develop this kid into something special, so I think they go with Josh Allen with more of an upside than Sam Darnold or Rosen. I think Darnold and Rosen both really good chances to be quarterbacks. I don't think their ceiling is too high.
See, I think that's part of the problem, though, is that Cleveland has so much bad.
Right, you almost think that you would think that they're going to go with more of the sure thing.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. I think they should go Darnold, but whatever reason, no one really knows. But just from things I've been reading, they love Josh Allen.
That could be smokescreens, though.
Right, for sure.
Yeah. I have the Browns taking Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold was kind of like the one that was highly touted going into this year before it all played out. People have said that Rosen is the best right now, but he also has the lowest ceiling. Allen potentially has the highest ceiling, and Darnold is somewhere in that middle ground. I think kind of just like Myles Garrett was last year, Darnold is the safe pick for them. Everybody would be okay if they take Darnold. There's always going to be some people that are like, why'd you do that if you take Josh Allen?
For sure.
So I think Darnold is a safe pick, and I think they'll go safe pick there. So number 2, we got the New York Giants. Who you got, Emmons? Who you got them taking?
I got a trade.
Okay.
I got the Bills trading 11 and 22, and how many other picks they got to sell their soul for to move up to number 2. And originally had them taking Josh Rosen, but with the change of the number 1 pick in my draft, I think they go Sam Darnold, and they're ecstatic that he's still there at number 2. Need a quarterback. I don't think A.J. McCarron is going to lead this team to anything special. Last year, we seen a safe quarterback in Tyrod Taylor, and they were a good team. Made the playoffs, but they weren't gonna do much with Tyrod back there. I don't think AJ McCarron does anything for him. I think they have to go quarterback here, and I think Sam Darnold can make that team somewhat of a threat.
Okay. I have the Giants. I have the Giants taking Saquon Barkley. They keep the pick, take Saquon Barkley. The Giants play in a hard market. They're a team that can't really afford to reset if they can avoid it. They can't avoid it right now if they go get a playmaker like Saquon Barkley to add to that offense. Their defense is middle of the road at best. Adding Alec Ogletree should help a little bit. So I think they can get some depth on the defensive side through the rest of the draft. But I think at number 2, they're going to go Saquon Barkley, get that offensive piece.
I have a trade as well, and it's not one that's been mentioned. I have the Broncos moving up a couple of spots.
Ooh.
I think John Elway wants his quarterback. He sees the run on quarterbacks about to come. He wants to take Rosen because of talent, but he doesn't want to take Rosen because Rosen's outspoken. And I don't think
I don't think those two. I was just going to say I don't think those two would mesh.
So I have him taking Josh Allen because he's got a big arm, and I think Elway thinks that he'd fit that system pretty well, and I think it would. And he'd have some with that defense. They're aging, but they're still good, so he'd have some time to develop. So,
okay, moving on to pick 3. New York Jets acquired this pick from the Indianapolis Colts. I have the Jets taking Josh Rosen at quarterback at number 3. Rosen is the win-now quarterback prospect pretty much. McCown is probably going to do what he did last year. He played decently well, but not really anything to clamor about. So probably around week 7, week 8, you'll hear cries for Josh Rosen. They'll put Teddy Bridgewater in instead. And then week
3 quarterbacks in a year.
And then week 14 to 15, you'll start to hear Josh Rosen chants again. If
that doesn't chant New York Jets, I don't know what does.
They might throw him out there, So I feel like the Jets are going to go Josh Rosen just because they're kind of a like I said with the Giants, they're in a win now market that likes results. So I think Rosen gives them that best possibility.
I have them taking Rosen as well, and I think that they don't have as much patience as you give them for because not just because they're a win now market, but Bowles is on the. I mean, this is it for Bowles.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get in that playoff range this year or make the playoffs, he's in trouble. So I think they put him in pretty early.
Yeah, I wish I really sat looking at this pick, wishing I could make this fun pick that they wouldn't go quarterback, but I originally had them going Josh Allen with him going number 1. I think Rosen falls to the Jets. I just don't see what else they do. I'm with Matthew. I don't think they play it safe. I think if McCown or Bridgewater, whoever they go with week 1 or in week 2, if they look a little shaky, I don't think they go to Bridgewater or McCown. I think they go right to Josh Rosen and just hope that he can just turn it around.
Okay. I originally had I did a couple mock drafts. I had the Jets actually taking Saquon Barkley at one point, just because
I was thinking about it.
Just because they have Teddy Bridgewater and Josh McCown there, so I was like, why? It makes sense, bet on Teddy Bridgewater and go get Saquon Barkley. But in my mock draft, I have the Giants taking Saquon Barkley, so that's not an option for them. So moving on to the 4th pick, Cleveland Browns on the clock. Matthew, who they taking?
I'm going to pick for the Browns instead of saying what I think the Browns will end up possibly doing because no telling what they're going to do. They got to take Barkley. I mean, you got to add superstars. You just keep putting in guys that are going to produce. So,
yeah, go ahead, Josh.
So this is where I actually have my first trade coming in. I have the Buffalo Bills trading their 2 picks at 12 and 21, I believe. 22. 12 and 22. So the Bills jump up to that 4 spot, get Josh Allen. That gives the Browns 3 picks in the first round to add a ton of talent to that team.
And to be the Browns.
Right.
So, yeah, I have them going Josh Allen. Highest ceiling, see what AJ McCarron can do, develop him, do what you can to develop him. So that's who I have the Bills going up to get.
I'm with Matthew on this. I don't think Cleveland Barkley's sitting right there on their lap, but he wasn't in Josh's mock draft. Saquon Barkley sitting at 4. You got to take this kid. This kid's going to be a stud. You got to add weapons to this team. You got Jarvis Landry in the offseason. You draft Josh Allen, according to me. You see what you do at the quarterback position. You've been building the defense. It's a young team. I think Saquon Barkley is that playmaker they could really use to pair with Jarvis Landry on that offense.
Okay, pick number 5, Denver Broncos. Emmons, who do they take?
Bradley Chubb. A popular pick here is Baker Mayfield. I just think John Elway. I think he's gonna just stick with what he's got over there for now. I think the defense is getting a little older. Bradley Chubb adds a edge rusher that is very talented. And you put him right next to Von Miller, and you just run with it. I think he's a can't-miss talent at 5. I mean, he's talented enough to go number 1 in my opinion, but with the other teams having other needs, I think getting him at 5 is a huge steal. I think he's arguably the best player in the draft.
Yeah, if these quarterbacks aren't here, I think you're right. He goes 1-2.
So I have the Broncos taking Denzel Ward, cornerback from Ohio State.
Wow.
You have Chris Harris Jr. for another couple years. Get his heir apparent in there to work with Bradley Roby. And then you get those guys learning from Chris Harris Jr. You can keep your dominant defense going for another couple years, and what happened to Seattle, you can kind of prevent from happening to you.
But as a team that wants to contend and has the team that contend, why would you take somebody who's not going to be your 1 or 2 starter and the top 5 pick?
Well, you just signed Case Keenum, so why would you take,
Quarterback's a different position, though.
Yeah, right, but that's most likely if they're going to go somewhere, that's what they're going to go, but
I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, okay.
I
feel like a lot of teams are running. I feel like a lot of teams are just running a lot more nickel nowadays than they used to. So Denzel Ward comes in. You can leave Roby in the nickel, like in the slot, and then just put Ward on the outside, and there he's an impact corner right away for you.
Yeah, I like the pick. I do agree a little bit with Matthew. I think at 5. You go with a guy.
Well, let's get Matthew's pick in here.
My bad.
And 5, I have the Giants because they flipped with the Broncos for some second rounders and fun stuff.
A little bit of trade.
Yeah, exactly. I have them taking Quentin Nelson, the guard from Notre Dame. I think that they see what's going to happen and they say, hey, we can move back, get a couple pieces, and get a guy to protect Eli that they wanted to get in the first place. Because I've seen some people want, having him at 2. I saw a couple. And why would you do that when you can move back? It's just,
exactly. Move back, get them a few more picks, add some more pieces to the team.
Right.
But back to what Matthew was saying about Ward. I don't think that defense is where it was at, to where you could just take a guy. Okay, we just need a guy who can plug in here. Yeah, we just need a guy here. He's going to get us ready to contend. I think Bradley Chubb is more of a player who will help that defense contend more than a guy like Ward will. I think he's that much of a...
We'll see. Here's my thing. That defense was top 5 last year. It just didn't look like it because they had Trevor Siemian and Brock Osweiler under center. Now you've got Case Keenum, who just played in a championship game, and you traded away a huge part of the defense with Aqib Talib. You traded him away. So you need to go and replace Aqib Talib, which you do with Denzel Ward. Your defense is right back to where it was last year. And now with Case Keenum, who is just in a championship game, you can go and contend.
I don't know.
Okay. I have a problem with that.
I have a huge problem with it too.
Why did the Vikings lose that game? Because Case Keenum was exactly what the Broncos had at quarterback. They had a great defense, and their quarterback couldn't produce anything. Like, it's literally, to me, it's the same situation.
We saw Case Keenum against Philly. We saw Case Keenum. His system fell apart against the Eagles' defense, and we saw what he was without that system.
Look,
he looked horrible.
And if that's true, and they end up in this situation again next year, guess what? There's more quarterbacks next year.
Well, right. I don't think that's the thing, though. I think you have the potential number 1 talent falling to you at 5 doesn't happen every year. I think Bradley Chubb is, 10 times more of an impact player than Ward will ever be.
Yeah.
I think that's another Von Miller type. Talent almost. I'd rather have 2 edge rushers like that than
in a league that's filled with you need an edge rusher.
Yeah, I think Roby and Harris can hold their own for a little bit there. I think Bradley Chubb's much more of a need for them right now.
And another thing to think about is weapons. Most offensive, not most, but a lot of offenses, their biggest weapon and their biggest reliable guy now is coming out of the slot versus the outside, other than like the ABs and the Julio Jones. So if you can leave Roby in the slot to cover that really good slot guy, that gives you just another measure on defense to keep you elite.
And I do agree that it's becoming much more important. I just don't think that's something you spend a 5th pick in the draft on.
Okay. So let's move on to pick number 6, Indianapolis Colts. I have them taking Bradley Chubb at this pick. That defense needs Bradley Chubb. Pick. It needs pass rush. It does not have a choice. It needs pass rush. Bradley Chubb's the way to go.
Me too. Same thing.
I got them with Bradley Chubb going. I got them taking Quentin Nelson, Andrew Luck, whatever's left of him. Hopefully a lot. Very talented guy. They need to protect him. I don't know if there's a more quarterback who's been hit more than Andrew Luck in his career. I mean, he gets abused. At least Russell Wilson can run away from the tackles. Andrew Luck doesn't have time to run away from the tackles if he even can. So I think you got to go with Quentin Nelson, who I think is an impact changer at guard on the offensive line. I think he's one of the best offensive linemen we've seen in a long time.
Okay. Number 7 pick, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Matthew, who are they taking?
I have them taking Denzel Ward.
Okay.
Their secondary has just been a mess.
Yeah.
Just
I mean, that's the best way to describe it. I got him taking Minkah Fitzpatrick, a guy who's probably going to lean towards playing a little safety.
Yeah.
He could also play corner. He probably best fits at safety. There's no way other to describe it. You need secondary at this pick. I decided between Fitzpatrick Ward and Darwin James.
Yeah,
I just think Fitzpatrick. Yeah, I think Fitzpatrick's a little more of an impact player than those two, so that's why I went with Minkah.
I have my second trade occurring here. I have the Miami Dolphins trading up to the number 7 pick, giving the number 11 pick and some more picks, and taking Baker Mayfield, quarterback out of Oklahoma. The Tannehill experiment. Tannehill's been okay, but Miami, especially getting rid of Sue, who is probably their biggest name guy, and Landry, it's time for them to revamp and retool. They need to get fans into the stadium. Tannehill will probably start the first couple games, and then it'll turn over and it'll be Mayfield's team.
I guess if you see another trade forthcoming, I don't see why they have to worry about Baker going before that pick, before the Miami picks at 11.
Right, but see, you have to think about what happened last year. Chicago was number 3, San Francisco was number 2, and Chicago traded up to number 2 to get Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah, but I think there was more of a need for other teams with quarterbacks. I mean, you got the Bears don't need a quarterback, Niners don't need a quarterback, Raiders don't need a quarterback. I don't think Cardinals are going to bring up.
But you have the Ravens, the Cardinals, the Chargers, the
Bills.
The Bills.
The Bills.
Not mine.
Yeah.
Well, mine are still there.
The Patriots, the Saints, all these teams need future quarterbacks. And if they think Baker Mayfield's that guy, they could go get him. Especially teams like the Saints, because, and we'll get into the Saints picks next week. The Saints, because they were close. They were close to Super Bowl this year, and that team looked really good, even without even not making it to the championship game. That team looked really good. They need some pieces, obviously, but they're not far and away, away from a championship run.
I guess I'm in the unpopular party where I just don't view Baker as that guy people are going to not sell their soul for, because 7, you're not going to have to give up that much. But I don't know. I don't see the Dolphins trading up for it.
I have them trading up for it. So let's move on to the 8th pick, Chicago Bears. Emmons, who they take?
Denzel Ward, need a cornerback. I don't think it's the same thing with the Buccaneers. I don't think that's any. They need another guy. There's really no other cornerback I'm taking there at 8. I like Josh Jackson a lot, but not in the top 10. I think Ward's your best impact guy, and he's the best guy in the secondary left besides Derwin James, who's going to be playing safety.
I have the Bears taking Quentin Nelson, the guard.
It's a really good pick for them at
8. It's about time. It's time. It's Trubisky's second year. You got him Allen Robinson. You got him Trey Burton.
Trubisky's time, baby.
You got him Taylor Gabriel. You have to you're buying in on him at this point. So,
yeah, he's your guy.
So you have to get him. You have to set him up for success, and Quentin Nelson does that.
If Quentin Nelson was still there, I'd have.
Oh
the same
yeah,
thing.
that'd be a
Same
great
reason,
pick
but
for them. Yeah.
I have them right now taking Minka Fitzpatrick.
So me and you pretty much just swapped. I like it.
Yeah, basically. And I mean, if the Bucks would have taken,
Yeah,
I would have had Bears taking.
That's
Denzel.
really two interchangeable guys in my opinion. I mean, they're
Right.
both very talented.
Number 9 pick goes to the San Francisco 49ers after they won the coin toss against the Oakland Raiders at the NFL Scouting Combine.
John Green was ecstatic. Did you notice?
Yeah, I saw. He was real happy to be there. So 49ers 9 pick, just like the Bears, they need to buy all in on their quarterback that they just paid a lot of money to. San Francisco 49ers select Calvin Ridley, wide receiver, Alabama. Give him a weapon.
Yep. Same pick for me, so I'll let Matthew go ahead and.
Well, I have a trade here because I think they do need to get him some weapons and some
It's a very tradable pick because I don't think Calvin Ridley is a top 10 guy, but I think if they stay there, they take a good weapon. So that's a great trade.
And I think that they can move back and get a more,
They can move back like 10 spots and get a wide receiver.
Well, I have them moving back to the Bills' 12th pick for a few picks. And the Bills come up and take Baker Mayfield because they're afraid of the Dolphins. Funny enough that you had mentioned. That's why I stayed silent, Josh. They're afraid of the Dolphins taking Baker.
Take him at 11.
They have to move up in front of them.
Okay. So moving on to 10th pick, Oakland Raiders lost that coin toss as we just mentioned. Matthew, who do you have them taking?
I haven't taken Vita Vea because John Gruden does not like young players. He actually despises them. And so I could imagine him taking a defensive lineman.
Yeah,
that's the John Gruden thing.
Yeah, I can see that. I think what they need, and not the John Gruden way, I think Darwin James being there at 10 would be huge for the Oakland Raiders. But yeah, I like Matthew's take on John Gruden because he couldn't be more correct about that. I think it's glaring need in that secondary at safety. I don't think there could be worse for them. So I think Darwin James being there at 10, that's where you got to go.
I agree.
I mean, I actually thought about trading this for a player or not even a pick. It's simple. I just couldn't think of who would trade a player.
So I agree that they need help in the secondary and put another safety next to Carl Joseph. But I have them taking Minka Fitzpatrick because he's still on the board. So I have Minka Fitzpatrick going to the Oakland Raiders at 10.
Yeah, if he's still on the board, you got to take him at 10.
Pick number 11 is the Miami Dolphins. Emmons, you're up.
I mean, we have the same pick for the Dolphins. I just don't think they would trade up for him. I think they'd grab Baker Mayfield there at 11. Obviously Tannehill is Ryan Tannehill. He's nothing. That project has gone on a couple years too long, in my opinion. They don't have much there. They need a name. Baker's he's one of the most popular names in the draft. I think he has potential talent to be something. I'm not a big Baker guy, but I think he could be successful in the league, and I think that's where Miami goes with it. They need a quarterback.
Okay, this is where I had the Buccaneers trading down to on my mock draft. So I have them taking Derwin James out of Florida State. Florida State guy going to a Florida team is a great thing for that team and for fans. They also have need at the safety position. They need to get better and younger there. So Derwin James comes into the Buccaneers, starts right away, makes an impact both on and off the field.
I almost think sometimes players going to their hometown team is a bad thing, to be honest.
Well, Jalen Ramsey, he didn't go to his hometown team, but he went to school at Florida State, and he's balling out with the Jags, and everybody loves him.
Yeah, but I mean, I think I see more of that fail than it succeeds.
Tim Tebow would have been a success in Jacksonville. Matthew,
I'm sure he would have been. I'm sure he would have been great.
Who you got, number 11, Miami Dolphins?
Number 11, I have the Dolphins taking Lamar.
Oh.
And which is the opposite of what I mean. Now, I agree with – here's the thing. I agree about the whole hometown thing because Lamar is from Miami, which is one of the things that really took down
I think that'd be horrible for a guy like Lamar Jackson.
I think it'd be terrible, but I think the Dolphins do it. I think that they look at what happened to Jacksonville and Tebow, and they say, oh, we don't want to let that happen because that's what really brought down what's his face, the coach before Mark Richt to Miami was their fan base and their alumni were not very happy that they lost out to Louisville on Lamar. So I see them taking Lamar and trying to play it around.
Okay. Pick number 12 is the Buffalo Bills. I have them trading that pick to the Cleveland Browns for the pick earlier. And I have Cleveland taking Josh Jackson, cornerback out of Iowa. You get your quarterback, you've got pass rush, you need secondary help. Josh Jackson helps that immediately.
Um,
Matthew, go ahead.
Yeah, I could see that, but I have the Niners there because they traded back a few picks with the Bills. I have them taken. I know that we talked about offense, but they see Derwin James still there,
yeah.
and they see a Cam Chancellor kind of guy, and they get a little bit of payback for all those Legion of Boom years.
Like it. I think this would be a horrible pick for New York. Like we've talked about before, because I have New York trading their 2 pick and getting the Bills pick. New York's a really big spotlight city. Not a lot of guys can survive in it. The press is intense, to say the least. The importance of winning there is huge. I have the Giants taking Lamar Jackson, who I think can be really, really good in this league if he gets into the right situation. I think he crumbles in New York.
Okay. Lamar Jackson off the board for both of you guys already. Interesting. Number 13, Washington Redskins. Matthew, who they taking?
Mike Hughes, cornerback from UCF. Okay. I just think that they need to get some playmakers in the secondary.
I love Mike Hughes, and he is not getting a lot of love in some of the stuff I've seen. Like, he's getting first-round talent, but, man, some of the big boys I've been looking at, he is not high. I love Mike Hughes, so I love that pick.
I think they just try to shock everybody, just go for it.
I think it's a great pick. I think it's a really good pick. I like Mike Hughes a lot.
Who you got him taking, Emmons?
He's changing his pick.
No, I'm not changing my pick. I think they need to go linebacker, and Roquan Smith is still there. He's got a really, really, really high motor guy, really talented guy. I think he's a can't-miss prospect at 13 there.
They traded Kendall Fuller to the Chiefs in order to get Alex Smith. They need to replace Kendall Fuller at cornerback. I have them taking Jair Alexander, cornerback from Louisville, at that 13 spot. We saw John Ross last year jump up boards because he had an excellent combine. That's exactly what's going to happen to Alexander. He had an excellent combine. He's going to jump up some draft boards. Number 14, Green Bay Packers, the Cheeseheads. Emmons, who they taking?
I think they need an edge rusher, and I think Marcus Davenport is a guy who can be really impactful. I have them taking Marcus Davenport out of UTSA.
Okay. Matthew, who you got them taking?
I have them taking Roquan Smith because they need a linebacker.
They need a lot on that defense. I guess they need more than they need.
Yeah. All right. I have a trade at this position. I have the Baltimore Ravens jumping from number 16 to number 14 and selecting Lamar Jackson, quarterback, Louisville. So Lamar Jackson has gone in the top 16 in all of our drafts. I think even though they pay Joe Flacco a lot of money, if they don't win this year with Joe Flacco, it's going to be a nightmare. And Lamar Jackson can bring a lot of excitement to that team, and that team needs some excitement, man.
Yeah, they definitely do. I like that trade. I guess the Ravens, I think that would be a shock to a lot of people. I mean, given Joe Flacco's, we all know Joe Flacco's Joe Flacco. I just don't think a lot of people think they pull the trigger. That'd be interesting. The other team I had Lamar Jackson possibly going to is the Cardinals, but I think the Giants unfortunately pulled the trigger for Lamar Jackson at 12.
So we have the Cardinals are the number 15 pick, and that's who's next on our list. With the Ravens trading up and taking the quarterback that they wanted, I have the Arizona Cardinals trading down with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
And little hometown pick here.
The Jaguars jump up and grab Cortland Sutton, wide receiver out of SMU. We need that tall outside wide receiver. We need that presence on this team. Wide receiver is very thin this year, and while there aren't a lot of middle to high first round talent wide receivers, they're going to go faster than people think. So I think the Jags need to get
I guess that was my question for you is who do you have, who do you think is a threat to take a wide receiver like a Cortland Sutton or a DJ Moore?
The Packers are a threat to take a wide receiver. The Seahawks are a threat to take a wide receiver. The Cowboys are a threat. The Panthers, the Falcons, and the Saints, because all those teams...
Well, the Saints just got Cameron Meredith.
Is that official?
It's official.
Okay.
I think that by midnight tonight.
Okay, then that's but all of those other teams take wide receivers, and they don't take them, but they could use them. And Cortland Sutton is probably the best one after Calvin Ridley, and he's the only big outside receiver.
I like DJ Moore more than I like Cortland Sutton, but we can talk about that another day.
So who do you have at this number 15 spot for the Arizona Cardinals?
I think they're going to make their fans very angry. I think it's going to be a good pick for them, but they're going to go really boring here. I think they take Connor Williams, offensive tackle out of Texas. They need O-line. It's not a very sexy pick after you just lose Tyrann Mathieu, Carson Palmer retires, but having a guy like Connor Williams to protect your quarterback and hopefully keep David Johnson healthy would be nice.
Okay, Matthew, who you got? Number 15 pick, Arizona Cardinals.
I have them going with the sexy pick. Their quarterbacks are gone. They got to get something to put the tails in the seats, so they take Calvin Ridley. Take over for Fitzpatrick.
Yep.
See, I could see them taking a wide receiver there also, and just part of another reason I have the Jaguars trading up.
Yeah.
So we're moving on to 16 pick Baltimore Ravens. Matthew, who are they taking?
I have them taking. I know that somebody is just going to be so happy with this pick. Orlando Brown. I think that the Ravens look at his tape more than the combine and think that they could do something with him. And you have a complete another blindside moment. And they just, I think it's going to be terrible, but I think they take him to try and get that line going.
I think it would be terrible. Way to set him up.
Terrible.
So
I think it'd be terrible.
You have Orlando Brown coming off the board before Mike McGlinchey.
I think it's a Ravens kind of pick.
Interesting. Okay, Emmons, who do they take? Baltimore Ravens, 16.
I think they go with defense being the Ravens. I think they take Tremaine Edmonds, linebacker of Virginia Tech, who I think is a really, really, really good player. And I don't think that'd be I guess that was the comment I opened up with. It made it seem like it'd be a bad pick. I think that'd actually be a really good pick for them.
See, I had Tremaine Edmonds for a long time because Terrell Suggs is retiring. They kind of need that outside pass rush threat from linebacker.
Yep.
So he's not retiring, but he's getting older. But then I was like, you know what? I see this team going up and getting something exciting to get their fan base back in and get them a quarterback. So that's why I had them trade up. So I have the Green Bay Packers with this 16 pick instead of the Ravens. And just like Emmons did a couple picks ago, I have them taking Marcus Davenport, defensive end from University of Texas San Antonio. The team needs pass rush. Their pass rushers aren't getting any younger. So they need those guys to they need Davenport to come in and be a beast and get those sacks. So that wraps up 1 through 16.
Such a tease, only giving away half my mock draft.
Yeah, you're gonna hold on. You're gonna hold on for one more week.
For a week.
For one more week. So next week's show we'll do 17 through 32 of our mock drafts.
I say we just do a full 7-round mock drafts. Let's go live every day and do it.
Yeah, you want to? Every single day? Yeah, it sounds like a great idea. No, it doesn't. All right, Matthew, what's on your mind, buddy? Take us out.
Okay, so I don't think I mentioned this at the very beginning, but I coach at a high school football program in Florida, ranked second in Class 6A, which is one of the top 10 classes in the state. And I also teach in elementary schools. And one of the things that I've noticed is that there is literally very little development at young ages in sports, just in general. And it's depressing because you have these kids in these schools and all they see is these athletes on TV doing whatever they want. I mean, that wide receiver from Green Bay just had the bomb threat.
Right.
Okay, when you read it, it wasn't a bomb threat. He made a joke, a very dumb one.
Still. Yeah.
But they see that and they don't have any. They get to high school and they haven't done anything with their grades. When they go to these youth programs, their grades are not a factor in a lot of these areas. In Florida, it's not required. So like we have elementary kids who are getting D's and F's, they're getting retained, they're getting referrals in school, and they're still able to play on Saturday because the coaches don't care about school. Well, that's the wrong message because when they get to high school and you get these colleges coming in asking about their grades, it's too late for them to try.
Right.
So we're losing a lot of kids and a lot of talent because we just don't have the infrastructure from a young age, and it's frustrating. It's very, very frustrating.
Yeah, we actually an example of that locally here. A kid who was pretty much a Michigan State lock to go along as defensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
He's from Ohio, I think. Mm-hmm. He just signed his letter of intent to go to Michigan State about 2 weeks ago, way past signing day and everything. He had to get his grades up. He barely made the cut for Mark D'Antoni to let him come on the board. So I mean, like Matthew said, I don't think – I mean, you have programs like AAU in basketball. Mm-hmm. You have all these travel teams. And all these AAU coaches care about, unfortunately, I hate saying this, is the money and getting their own exposure. They're not worried about these kids. These kids just come in, they come out in these AAU circuits, and it's horrible for any youth sports.
And the thing is like a lot of districts around the country, and ours just went to this a few years ago, where they can transfer anywhere in the county that they want. They don't have to live near the high school. Right. They can transfer. So if we got a kid come in and we bench him for a game because he doesn't have his grades up, okay, well, I'm just going to transfer. And
that's another thing. That's happening everywhere now. It's kids are another local thing. A kid from I forgot what city it was in Michigan. He went to Dakota high school called Dakota. Wanted to play basketball with his other Michigan State commit buddy in basketball in this other school called Clarkson, a basketball powerhouse who literally blew everybody out by 30 in the playoffs. And the MHSSA, who I think are a bunch of crooks, but I think they stepped in the right time for once and had him sit for the year.
No, they allow it. They changed the law. They allow this.
Right. And you can go, you can now, there's like no school district anymore. Like I think when I was a sophomore in high school, they changed my school to a school of choice, an open district. Mm-hmm. And I don't really know of another school who's a closed district besides like private schools and stuff. But any public school now, you can pretty much just go wherever you want to, hour and a half away. Who cares as long as you get there.
So getting back to the youth programs, unfortunately, that's probably something you're never going to be able to enforce. Because just like you said, now you have schools where you can travel to the school as long as you can get there. It wasn't like that when I was growing up. You had to go to the school that was closest to you. But as far as your recreational sports, you could go anywhere. So I played a recreational sport that was I played baseball with a program 20 minutes away from me when there was a program 5 minutes away from me. I preferred the program that was 20 minutes away over the program that was 5 minutes away, and I chose to go there. And there's nothing the school could have done to stop me. So if I was getting Fs, they couldn't just go to my coach and say, hey, he's not playing, like he's not doing well in school. You need to stop letting him play, because I participated in sports somewhere completely away. So I don't think that's going to be something that's really enforceable.
Yeah, well, it's sad because I see these kids they have no clue that they have to get in these habits early, and so they just
that's kind of where coaches or parents have to step in and be parents, though. Like if you're failing, like you can't play sports. It should just be that simple. But I get that
the ones pushing it.
The parents are even more of the enablers.
We'll see. I get that, but that's where they shouldn't be.
I know.
Yeah, but
I mean, just another example of parents. It's not necessarily with youth sports, but Miles Bridges at Michigan State. His mom was almost like brought to tears when he announced that he was coming back to college for another year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, these parents almost want the money more than their kids do. I mean, these parents, given kids need guidance, but these kids also, I don't know. The parents are almost more money hungry and popularity hungry and fame hungry than these kids are, and they use these kids as meal tickets, and they don't care about the grades. They're just like, okay, well, the colleges are going to come, but that's not you can't be a failure in high school and still go to college. I mean, there is a line there, not that big of one anymore. And I think we're at the point where, like Josh said, I don't see it changing because the coaches don't care.
The possibility of changing it is happening though, because the NCAA made the rules much more strict for grades. Like when you're in high school, only your core classes count now for your GPA for grading into college. So like if I get an A in weightlifting, it doesn't matter. It doesn't count towards that GPA they look at.
Right.
You no longer get those anymore.
You can't just take 3-4 gym classes your senior year and just right.
And their SAT scores and everything. So it's coming down from the top. It's just going to be a slow change.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess anything involved with the NCAA, it's hard to trust. But I'm glad they are stepping in and doing something. But I feel like there's going to be something else that they'll just kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
Good on the NCAA for stepping in and at least trying to do something positive. So that's all we got for today. If you tuned in watching, appreciate it. If you watch it in the recording, thank you. John, Matthew, thank you guys again for being here for week 5. We'll see everybody again week 6 next week, next Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. We're gonna do rounds 17, or sorry, pick 17 through.
Ooh.
We're gonna do pick 17.
Man, we went from
through,
7-round mock draft to 17 round mock draft.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So we're gonna do pick 17 through 32.
I might get drafted.
For our mock drafts.
I might have a chance.
Next Tuesday night, 8:30. See you guys there. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. All the links are out there on our various sites if you already follow us. If not, then I believe they're on our Twitch page as well. So thank you for watching. Have a good week, and we'll see you next week.